Hello, welcome to the Exhausted Programmer. My name is Alexander, and today is part 2 of our series in awk. In the last video, we looked at how we could print specific fields in each record with the command just print. In this case, as we did in the last video, if there's no comma, it will print row 2 and row 4 back to back with nothing to separate them. And we saw in the last video that we can put in a comma, and when we do that, it will put a space in between them. Specifically, it puts in whatever's stored in the OFS variable. The OFS stands for Output Field Separator. There's also a record separator that we might not be noticing because it's so user-friendly. It's a new line, but we can change that to be whatever we want by changing the ORS, the Output Record Separator. We can set variables with the -v flag, and when we do, we'll see that instead of each record being separated by one line, it's separated by two. There doesn't have to be a new line. You could make it a comma and put them all on the same row if that's useful for whatever you're doing. We can separate the fields with changing the OFS variable. We can put this in here just to show that, you have a lot of options. It doesn't have to be a single character. It doesn't have to be a space. We could do new lines for it as well and put each field on its own line if that's useful. Another thing we can do is avoid printing every record. So far, we've just printed specific fields, but if we want to print specific records, we can. When we looked at our data, there's only one piece of data that has 45. So by matching that, we only print that one record. We can also do something closer to regex using the tilde. And so for this, every record that in field 4 has the number 91 found somewhere in it. So here it's right in the middle, or the last two here, or somewhere in the middle for this one. It will print these. I do want to point out that you do not have to print the stuff that you're using to match. You might think that first it pulls these two fields because of the print statement and then it matches, but no, it's actually the opposite way. So we can match the fourth field, but only print the second one. This could be useful if you have a row that is marked important and you want every record that has an important field, but you do not want to print the word important because it takes up quite a bit of the screen with all its letters and it's just redundant information anyway. Whatever your use case is, this might be useful. I also want to point out that you can negate these matches if you want to get every record that does not have 45 as its fourth field. That is everything that didn't come up when we did this first one. You replace the first equal sign with an exclamation mark. And there we get everything else. For the other one, you just put the exclamation mark in front of the tilde and that negates it. So all the rows that didn't get matched with 91 are now showing up here. You can also use multiple patterns to match. There's a few ways of doing this, but for the sake of single line commands, that's kind of where we're at right now in our awk videos, you can do it this way. You can use a semicolon to sort of represent a new line. So for each row, it'll run this command and then this command. And what we see is that this one matched the second one. This row actually matched both the first and the second, so it printed twice because there's two print statements. And then this one matched one and this one matched the other, or I think they both actually matched the same one. Either way, all the rows that have in their fourth field 91 or 98 printed, and if it has both, it printed both. I specifically chose this as an example because I want to show something that if you're too stuck in awk, you might not think about. But remember, awk can be used along with other programs. And one program I want to point out right now is just a simple one called unique. When we pipe this information into unique, what unique does is gets rid of duplicate rows. And so note that this is still part of the bash command, but this is where we start. So we get 4 rows instead of 5 because it saw that these were duplicates and it got rid of them. Something else worth pointing out at this point is that there are a lot of built-in functions into awk. But for the sake of just getting to the most important and most used ones right now, I will just want to point out length. With length, we can print out the length of each row. So it takes the full record and it gets the length and it prints that number. We might want to use that number to understand better our data. What's the longest record? What's the shortest? And again, you can use awk with other programs to make this really simple. Pipe this into sort. It sorts everything in a logical pattern. It actually is doing string sorting, but in ASCII, the 4 character is less than the 5 character. And so it still sorts it numerically to us. Sorting has a lot of stuff we could do, but not for this video. Finally, we can use that value of length to do something with the logic. In this case, we can just print these 5 rows here that are bigger than 70 by sorting or by putting that as our conditional statement. So when the length is greater than 70, so not 70 also, it has to be greater, we'll print that row and it'll print them in the order that they appear in the file. So it doesn't sort them here because we didn't sort them in our awk command. But these are our longest records, which can be very useful if for some reason you need records to be under a certain length and you want to find all the problematic ones, this would be an easy way of doing that. This is the second of my short form videos, so I hope that it stays very concise and very to the point. I hope it's not going too fast while also not getting too lost on tangents. In my latest long-term video, I had to delete roughly 25% of the stuff I recorded because I tend to go on tangents. So hopefully staying more focused is not only good for me, but good for you as well. If you like what you saw, please like, comment below if you have any questions, and thanks for watching.